All right, guys, so if you rolled out your slab yesterday, you're ready to do this today. If you're rolling your slab out today, do not do this. You have to wait till Monday to trim it. So your clay should have firmed up a little bit overnight. So you want to make sure that your clay has taken the shape of your mold. I want to remind you too that if you are rolling your slab out today, what do you have to do with it when it comes out of the slab roller? You have to use a what on it?
Smoother.
A smoother or a rubber rib, right? So we got to rubber rib both sides of it before we put it over top of our mold. We're karate chopping around the mold so that it takes the shape of it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to be flipping it right side up. We're going to very carefully put it on its the back side. Make sure you're not pushing down. You don't want to squish it. Now we have to trim the side of our clay. So we're going to hold the clay up like so. We're going to use a fettling knife. I have all new fettling knives over there. I'm going to trim it off a little bit. I'm holding the clay up and I'm going to coast the fettling knife along the mold, holding it straight and then cutting that off. Let me turn it this way, Heather, so you can see it. I'm going to hold it upright. Make sure if you guys can't see, kind of peek up so you guys can see this. I'm pushing the clay up and then I'm going to cut along the edge of the mold. Just make sure you're not digging into the mold because you can damage these. So I'm going to spin it. If you want to use a king spin wheel too, you guys can put it on a king spin wheel and cut that way too. It makes it a little bit easier. Just cut like little sections at a time. And then Monday, if you do this today, we're going to be using the Sureform carver to really finalize the rim. So any like little imperfections that are on here, we'll really perfect it on Monday then. But today, what you have to do is really hold the clay upright and just trim the edge of it. So it's okay if it droops down a little bit because we're going to put it back on the mold. We're going to leave it like so. And then you're ready to start making your foot. So on the projector, I do have two really good rules of thumb. If you're doing a little ball feet, it can't be any bigger than a dice. If you're doing a coil, it can't be any thicker than your finger. All right, so you can either do a big coil on the bottom of your piece if you want to do that, or you can do 4 little nubs if you want to do that. Or if you want to really make something unique, like a claw foot, tub foot, you could do something like that too, or make like little pyramids. You could put them on here. Just make sure that whatever you're making, you're slipping and scoring very, very, very well. If you're going to do the 4 nubs, I always say grab a bigger piece of clay. Watch this. We're going to roll it out, and then we're going to divide it in half so it makes equal pieces. And then I'm going to divide these 2 in half again so it's nice and even. This may take you 2 days to do the feet, and that's fine. Take your time. They're not going to be due until Thursday of next week. This whole project's just done off of the mold. I'm dividing it in half again. This is probably like a little bit too big. I'm actually going to take some pieces of this off. It can't be any bigger than a piece of dice, because if it's like bigger than a dice, it might blow up in the kiln. So I want to make sure all pieces are even first before I start slipping and scoring them on. I'm going to smooth them all out. Take a little piece off. And you really have to make sure too, these are attached evenly. You want to make sure that they're not staggered, they're not looking funny. I had someone make like little bars, and that's what they put on the bottom. That's totally fine. Just make sure that you're slipping and scoring. So I'm going to score up where I'm going to attach it. Add a bunch of slip. I'm doing this very quickly. You're really going to make sure it looks right where you're putting it. If you're doing the ball feet, I always just kind of flatten one side out. I'm going to slip and score that side. Forgot to grab a modeling tool. You want to make sure that once you're done attaching it on, you really want to make sure you're smoothing the seam in. So we're going to pretend this is a modeling tool. You're going to take part of your modeling tool and really work it into the wall of your clay too, and then smooth it out with your finger or with a sponge. So we're not just slipping and scoring, you have to smooth it in. Either if you're using a coil or the ball foot, you have to smooth it in so it doesn't pop off in the kiln. I don't know if you can see that, Heather. I just smoothed the edge of it in. Once you have all pieces on here, I'm going to pretend I'm slipping and scoring them. Even if you're doing the coil, you want to make sure you're turning it right side up. and you're gonna very carefully compress it. Compressing it so all 4 pieces touch. If you have the coil, you wanna make sure the whole coil is nice and compressed a little bit so it sits flat on the table, and then we're keeping it like this in our lockers, okay? Does anybody have any questions? All right, so you can stop, Heather, thank you.